And good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you again from our digital desk. Tomorrow is May 7th. For most of us, that's probably just another day. But if you are a traveler, you better have it marked on your calendar. This is something that actually was looked at as a part of the 9/11 Commission all the way back in 2005. This idea that we needed an ID that was much more secure, much more regulated, and you had to prove who you are, and lots more than just showing up at a BMV and getting a regular driver's license. So the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration under the Department of Homeland Security, came up with this idea of a real ID. That's the name of it, REAL ID. And you have it if you have, first of all, taken a bunch of extra documentation to the BMV, but most notably, you'll see a star in the upper right-hand corner of your ID. I've been on television telling you about this not only for years because the project keeps getting delayed, but in the last month, I've probably done 5 or 6 reports on this. So tomorrow is the deadline. What's going to happen? We're going to bring in Jessica Maley. She is with the TSA. She's based out of Chicago. Jessica, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Tomorrow, a big day. And again, there have been a number of delays here. Walk me through what's going to happen. Maybe I've forgotten that tomorrow was the deadline. Maybe I live on Mars. I didn't see anything posted in social media. And I didn't go to the airport with your passport. That's the other way you can travel, is with a passport. What will happen to somebody tomorrow morning goes to the airport and they don't have this real ID or their passport?
Yeah, so again, great reminder, passports do work. Go to tsa.gov because we have a list of acceptable IDs. Passport is the most common one, but there are about 10 or 12 others on the list. And so I would say take a spin through that list. Maybe you have something that you just don't carry with you regularly that could work. But if you've gone through the list, you know I don't have any sort of compliant ID. All I have is my legacy non-compliant driver's license. You can still go to the airport, give yourself extra time. We expect those passengers could face delays and extra screening, but we are going to try and process them through the checkpoint.
What do we mean by extra screening? I think the secretary said that it might be a little more scrutiny. Is this going to happen right at the line of TSA? And so should other travelers expect some delays?
So we have, every airport kind of has its own operational plan. Our goal is to really enforce this in a way that minimizes the operational impact and especially the impact on compliant travelers. So for some airports and lanes, depending on the queue space, it might look like that passenger getting extra screening right where they are. Other places, we might divert those passengers to a different lane or to a different checkpoint. It really just depends on what is the need and the space and kind of the throughput level at that airport. Because again, we know busier times of day, we might respond differently than slower times of day. So I think people should feel good that we have a plan in place with flexibilities that's going to work for every airport. But yeah, we are trying to minimize the impact on passengers who are in compliance.
So what's interesting is it sounds like, okay, May 7th is the deadline. Well, maybe it's not quite the deadline, and we're going to ask you some questions and you have to go through. So is this a mythical deadline, or is this going to get pushed out a little bit, or will there be a time, a hard stop, this is it?
I think instead of viewing it as a deadline, we're calling it enforcement begins. Full enforcement begins of this act tomorrow. Yeah, going forward, we will continue to ramp up the consequences because we eventually want to get to the point where everybody going through has this ID. When a passenger goes through starting tomorrow and they do not have acceptable ID, they're going to be notified of their noncompliance and given information on how to get in compliance. So really, I'm hoping that passengers continue to take this seriously. And yeah, I don't think anybody wants to be in that spot where you aren't sure about what's going to happen when you get to the airport. So you have to give yourself some more extra time than you already are planning. It's much easier just to get the right ID and to get in compliance.
Excellent. Jessica Maley with TSA. I'm going to leave you with the final word here. We've been waiting for this sort of day since 2005. It's been put on a delay at least 3 or 4 or 5 times. You get the final word here. How should we all view heading into tomorrow and this idea of having a real ID?
Yeah, TSA is ready. We've been talking about this for a while. And the message I want passengers to take away is this really is rooted in the idea of making air travel safer. Anytime TSA makes a change, but especially one that affects every single passenger, it has a security benefit. And again, I think the idea is we want to know who's coming through that checkpoint, make sure it's a person on the ID, and make sure they're getting the right level of security. And those kind of changes make everybody safer.
Excellent. I think we can all appreciate that, even if it might take an extra minute or two, or the process a little bit more difficult to get your ID, but definitely worth it. Jessica Maley with TSA, we certainly thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take care. That's going to wrap it up. Again, May 7th is the deadline. Don't panic. As you just heard, you might have to go through some extra scrutiny if you don't have the real ID. But there will become a time down the road that this is going to be an issue, and it's just going to cause yourself some headaches and delays if you don't have it. I did reach out to the Ohio Department of Public Safety today. I reached out 2 weeks ago and found out that about 56.1% of Ohioans had gotten it. That was 2 weeks ago. We kind of expected there to be a rush. No, we've only gone up to 57% have the real ID in the state of Ohio. So hoping that not a lot of people get caught unaware tomorrow at the airport. We're about 45 minutes away from starting 3.5 hours of news and first alert weather. There's going to be soccer on CBS today, so make sure you tune in to our streams. We will be digitally streaming all of our newscasts, or at least the 3 and the 4 o'clock. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a great day.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and